everybody. Welcome back to America. I am D.B.Frick. As always, my cohort, my hairstylist, my mechanic, my grocer.
Not.
She's everything.
I'm everything, but I'm not that.
Millie Micheals with the news. How we doing over there?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Are you? Good.
We got a packed show. We got a really good show. Today's show's theme is radio because we got powerhouses of the radio world on tonight's show. But we're going to talk about the news first. Millie, what do we have?
Yes, we're going to talk about Lori Loughlin.
Yes,
a
Lori.
Full House. She is getting sentenced to 2 months in the big house for bribing college admissions for underachieving daughters.
Right.
She is being harshly punished because in this correctional facility they only offer like yoga and Pilates and ceramics and crafts and leatherworks and cartoon drawings and
in defense, they only offer yoga twice a day.
Yeah, it's not good. And they don't even get to go on bus trips.
It's 8 weeks of, you know, a federal penitentiary, I guess, but it's not minimum security. She'll probably be able to leave at some point if she wants to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's silly. It's all
go get a little mani-pedi.
It's all slap on the wrist stuff.
Sure.
What else do we have?
Yeah, so tests have confirmed that talking robots actually help the elderly in nursing homes to feel not so isolated and to actually boost their immune system to feel better.
That would scare the crap out of me. If I was in like some old age home and that thing comes into the room and starts talking to me, I'm going to think I'm like having some dementia-riddled moment.
Definitely.
But if it's helping old people, that's great. I'm all for helping old people all the time. Who can be against that? That's right. Running for office on that campaign. Down with old people. Get rid of the old people.
Oh, boy. I know one thing, Dan. That is when I'm in Stop and Shop and I push Marty, the talking robot, I feel good. I feel better. I feel like I can go on and do more.
I can see you feeling better about pushing Marty in the store out of your way.
He does bother me.
Well, he's watching what you're buying.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
know.
what else do we got?
So, well, you know, this is September, and school is back in session maybe today or tomorrow.
Is school in session?
We don't know. It's always like this. They're in session. I'm confused. Everybody's confused and no one knows what's happening.
Confused emojis. There's not enough confused emojis out there.
Yeah, not enough. Next story is scientists have discovered the oldest sperm ever recorded, dating back to almost 100 million years ago. They had found this fossilized mollusk spunk encased in amber.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, you could find that same thing in my basement apartment.
What? This is a prehistoric sperm.
Oh yeah, no, that looks like the gecko. That looks like Geico was advertising 100 million years ago.
Oh, maybe, okay, maybe it's not, maybe it is.
I don't know.
A Geico, okay.
That's weird.
Yeah, but I'm happy they found it.
Yeah, I hope they don't start like trying to like Jurassic Park it and use the sperm to make some thing that existed 100 million years ago.
Right, but they refer to it as spunk.
Yeah,
it's spunky.
That's a terrible word to use in journalism.
It's a scientific word.
That is not a scientific word.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Sorry.
Next story is fans are furious with McDonald's because the triple-decker burger does not look like the picture of the advertisement.
Oh, really? Really? I had no idea.
That's because they airbrush it and they paint it.
It's not even real meat. Now that's probably not real meat either.
No,
but it still looks. I would eat that.
That's what you're getting. That's what it is.
Burgers are supposed to be messy.
They say that they might be missing a patty. Well, you know what? Get off your lazy ass and go get another patty. What, you got to go drive through? I mean,
they give you the Big Mac. Does look pretty though. The Big Mac when you get it is all nice.
Is it?
I think so.
All right.
We got a lot of show coming up. We got Ed Tyll. Ed Tyll has been in radio for 40 years. Should probably be in the Radio Hall of Fame by now. We'll work on that. And we also have Jackie the Joke Man Martling from the Howard Stern Show. Yep, we got him here. We got his, this is his book, About a Stern. You should read it. It's really funny, great anecdotes. We talk about Willie Nelson. We talk about meeting Howard. We got some great stories coming up, so stay tuned. Yes, thanks for checking out. Welcome back to America.
And these are gross jokes for the kids.
Yeah, these are really fun.
Good during the holidays.
Yeah, you should buy those for the kids. They'll love it. Thanks for checking out. Welcome back to America. We'll be right back after this. I'm keeping those. You can't have those, by the way. I'm keeping them.
I'm going to take the radio.
Jackie stuff. You can't have any of it.
Not even the radio?
No, you can't have the radio. The radio's like $500. Hey, welcome back to America. This is D.B.Frick. I'm here with one of the most well-known names in radio. He's been doing this for like 40 years. He's currently out in Florida. He's on a couple of radio stations out there in Gainesville and Orlando. You got to check him out. Sometimes I'm on there too. You see me occasionally. Ed Tyll, thank you for coming on the show. It's really awesome having you.
DB, a pleasure. This is Zoom and COVID, and it's still great hanging out with you.
Yeah, no, it's great to see anybody these days, honestly.
Right.
So I beg.
Yeah, you know what? Can we start on that? People are asking me at the stations that you just mentioned. Before COVID, I would love to visit. I would do the show at the station, hang out in the hallway, the break room, and enjoy all the warm bodies. Salespeople, people at the front desk, visitors, giveaways, listeners, all of that is juice for me to do the show.
Right.
So every commercial break, every 8 or 9 minutes, I jump out of the studio and just vacuum up the humanity in the hallway. This hasn't happened since February 29th we had this year. We had a 29. I was in those hallways. Haven't been there since. Going nuts.
Yeah, I know, it is crazy. A lot of people going crazy right now. You're not alone.
Man. That's where I get all the material. As a comedian, we all know that we have some kind of a volcano that we make the material out of. All of it, a stomach ache, a headache, a depressive thought. Something is so assaultive that's where you get the material.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
I'm a face reader, a hallway schmoozer, back patter, a puppy player with her when there's a dog around, kids, grandma. That's a lot to fit on a business card.
That's a lot to fit on a business card.
It's terrible for a business card. It's awful. So this missing all of it cold turkey, John Lennon, cold turkey has got me. I'm going insane, man. I've been creating with no juice since Feb 29. 3 hours a day. Yeah.
I actually am writing and doing things in such a way that I won't even write about COVID, because I don't think that, like, if you sold a movie right now, that movie's getting made in 3 years. So COVID's going to be something like probably behind us somewhat by that point. So people selling movies right now might not want to do that. I'm trying to personally avoid like conversations about it at all. Not right now, but I'm talking about in life in general. It's just something that's been, and one of the things that helps us through these times when we're having really like this pandemic, when it's just worse than it's ever been, are memories. So one of the things that you have are a lot of, you have quite a history in radio. You've been doing it for over 40 years. What was the first thing that got you into it? What was it that made you want to do radio?
Wow. Gerald Ford pardoned Nixon, and I went and got a radio show within 30 days over that issue. 19, freshman in college, had a full-time job at UPS after I got out of school at St. John's. Get off campus, drive into Manhattan, work until 10 o'clock at night, because I wanted the money and I wanted to go to college, but this just stunned me like a meteor. And I was like, oh, you got to be Bob Grant. You have to be one of these crazy guys on the radio. You have to set this place on fire. You have to set this joint on fire. And there's only one way to do it. You got to take your grandfather's personality, which you have, and you got to put it on the mic. So I went to West 31st Street and 8th Avenue and began January 21st, 1975.
Wow. So, well, I mean, the history going on in Manhattan at that time in comedy alone and the world of entertainment, I mean, there were so many people. That's when the best sitcoms came out.
It's incredible. I can't believe that's your observation. I love this. Everybody was so smart and attentive.
Yeah.
Everybody was a wise ass about everything. Total wise ass. But you weren't putting anything over on these people on the sidewalk. They read the paper. They knew how to pronounce the country. Don't lecture them about what you think. They think more and harder. Just, we're all in it, babe. You get your ice cream. You get your hot dog. Let's all just do this. That's what we were doing. And we were doing this on all the incendiary nuclear topics of today. We were doing this on race. We were doing this on gender. We were doing it about violence in the street and guns. There's a YouTube clip of me as a young man, a young Ed Tyll, screaming, raging on a Monday because of the death toll from shootings in Chicago that weekend. It's 32, 33 years old, that clip. So I went in on it, stayed in on it. I'm in on it now. I stay on these things because to me, they're just, this is my lifetime. This is what we're here to do. We're comedians, we're talk radio guys. This is our life. The palette, the canvas that we use is our life. So have at it, I say, you know what I mean? Like, it's there. All these young dudes are like, just what you said before. What's happening with radio, Ed? What's happening with radio? Open a mic, open your mouth, get going. Right. Get a car, get on the track, man.
It's still one of the best ways to get your voice out there. And there's something else that you're doing that we spoke about. This is something I think that's very important that you're doing. We both know a man named Joey Reynolds who's been doing radio for a very long time.
Right.
And you're connected with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in such a way that you're trying to help him get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear about that a little.
Well, the Radio Hall of Fame is for the truly great connective communicators. You're in there for two reasons. If you're the biggest ever, that's spectacular, right? Soccer games when you were a kid, 72,000 people, every rock band that ever broke a record, that's exciting. But there's also the Grateful Dead connection where they follow you and they stick with you and you could screw up and they stay with you because you love them. See, you love them. They know you love them. Doesn't matter what you say, what you do, nothing matters. It's because of love. So Joey, all the great ones, but Joey Reynolds captured this with who he is. His unique internal chemistry was a perfect match for listeners, the time of his career, the backdrop of his career, the industry that he literally rose like a rocket. Joey came on the scene, exploded popularly because he was so much fun. He was like authentic, real fun. This dude is really at the station, loves me, loves this music, loves the world, and, you know, is telling me the truth, doesn't bullshit me, is straight with me. So that's Joey right now. Like, that's how I feel about him. His fans feel about him for longer than my 40 years, right? Joey's in there well established when I'm getting my driver's license. So this is a magnificent achievement. He's naturally to be in the Hall of Fame. He's why you have a Hall of Fame.
Right. And where is the Radio Hall of Fame? Is it a brick and mortar? Is there a physical museum?
It's a brick and mortar, and it's a marvel. You know, people should Google somebody like Shadow Stevens, who's a American Top 40, Casey Kasem.
Oh, Casey Kasem. Okay, yeah.
They should take a Rick Dees, the disco duck, quack, quack. You know, Imus, just that. These, the Hall of Fame is brick and mortar. Yes, it is. But it's kind of like the Vatican. It's really about the ghosts, right? I mean, you're at the Vatican. Is it the architecture or is it the ghost of Jesus? You know, is the dove, the Holy Spirit, going to come out and fly over? You know, are the skies going to open? This is Edward Till, my son. I want him to play for the New York Yankees. I had that dream as a kid. Yeah, I thought the skies opened. Jesus asked me to play. So the Radio Hall of Fame makes all that dreamy, crazy stuff possible. So yes, it's brick and mortar, but you know, like that's technically what's awesome. Joey is alive, right? We honor him, but 50, 60 years from now, you're going to be able to enjoy him all over again. You walk in there, you hit a button, his voice pops on. There are videos now. Thanks to an amazing archivist by the name, everybody in radio knows Art Volo. So when I say Art Volo, some listeners would be, oh my God, that guy from the 1960s videotaping all the legends. He can show you, so his collection in the Hall of Fame will be so incredible 50 years from now to watch Joey Reynolds long after he gets his harp, right? He'll be playing his harp up there. He'll get right in. I think all the great entertainers get right in up there. You're walking, okay, you guys have been doing good work. Come on.
So we're coming up on the end of our interview here, and I wanted to know where people can go see you. Where can people listen to you?
Just go to edtyll.com, edtyll.com. Posting, I'm getting better at for schedules, but ask it wherever you are. Hit me with a thing there on the contact page. I'll keep you abreast, and soon there'll be listings. I haven't booked anything publicly. I almost did. I think I talked to you about this off the air. I had a slew of gigs come in. I came so close to doing them, and then the numbers resurged, and I abandoned all of these.
4 weeks ago. You talked to Bill O'Reilly 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
you talked to huge people. What are you talking? We talked to the lead singer from Vanilla Fudge a few weeks ago.
Oh, and he's written a song. Yeah, so this is what I love. edtyll.com is where you can find out everything about me. And whatever's not there, just ask me. I will personally answer all contact page emails.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Ed. I really appreciate your time. This is Welcome Back to America, and we'll be right back after this. Hey everybody, this is Welcome Back to America. I am D.B.Frick. I have someone with me today who is a legend in the comedy world, an icon. He is very, very, very funny. He's been doing stand-up, I think, at least 40 years or so. Must be 40. We're going to talk a little bit about that. He was on the Howard Stern Show. He's got movies out there. He's done albums. Ladies and gentlemen, Jackie the Joke Man Martling. Thank you so much for coming down.
I'm glad to be here. I do not, people think it's flattering to say legend, but that is like, that to me, legend is dead or almost. So,
well, that's not how I see you. I do not see you as dead or almost.
Okay, funny is fine, but it's nice to meet you in person here, and I'm glad. I love doing these things. They're always fun. You hit a whole new wave of people. Speaking of dead, people email me. I always tell people right away, if you have questions, I don't know if he takes questions or whatever, but you can email me, jokeland@AOL.com. I got somebody that answers all my email, me. So just send me an email. You can ask me any question about anything. And if I do this again with DB, you can ask him questions, ask me. Because it's amazing that people are still totally fascinated 20 years after I left the show. It's amazing. I do cameo.com, and people, refer to specific things that happen on the show. And it's very flattering. You know, it's one thing that they remember the show, but they remember me specifically, and I like that. It's fun.
Yeah, it's an amazing history that you have. I wanted to know if you recall the first joke that you wrote, or what was the first thing that got you on stage, and where was that first time on stage?
I remember it. You know, it's so funny. You wouldn't know that originally when you start fooling around. I was a musician, and I was bad, so I became a comedian. And you never thought about it. But when I was in, I think it was 5th grade, but it might have been 6th grade, you never know who you are. You know, people used to ask me, were you the class clown? And I'd say no, because I thought that was some kind of, you know, great thing to be, given that title. And then I realized on the cover of my first comedy record, I'm given the finger in 8th grade, which I guess by default makes me the class clown. But you go back in time and you remember. So I was in 5th or 6th grade, and I guess I was pretty much of a loudmouth and pretty much of a ball breaker already. And there was a guy who, he wasn't the Cub master, but he was one of the adults that hung around the Cub Scout meetings way too much, not in a gay way or anything, just a really nice guy, had a couple kids at Cub Scouts. And there's a thing in Cub Scouts, I don't know if they do it anymore, called the Blue and Gold Dinner.
Yes, I remember it. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I do recall that. Yes.
All right, so every year the Cub Scout would go to dinner at we would go to a fancy restaurant, or what we deemed a fancy restaurant, with our fathers. I don't know what happened to the kids that didn't have fathers. In those days, nobody was divorced. Everybody had 2 parents, et cetera, et cetera. But they said, we would like you to MC the Blue and Gold Dinner. I had no idea what that meant. I asked my mother, and she said, Master of Ceremonies. And I said, cool. Nobody told me to be funny. Nobody, all I knew I was supposed to say, all right, here's Harry, he's going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, and now here's Charlie, he's going to give away the awards, whatever. You know, I had a list of things to introduce. So something in my Jackie head must have said, I got to break balls. And there was a magazine that you got automatically if you were a Cub Scout or a Boy Scout called
Boys Life. Boys Life, yes.
And there was a page in every issue called Think and Grin. And they were very innocent, you know, innocent jokes, fun jokes. And I read this joke, and not knowing anything about comedy. Well, I knew it was funny and I knew how to tell a joke, but I never knew the concept of switching something. I had never heard the concept of roasting somebody, but I took a joke, and I've gone back on the internet through the boys' lives and trying to figure out if it was 1958, 59, because there's only a limited, you know, there's only 12 issues a year, and there's only 1 page of Think and Grin, you know, so I know this is there because I can still see it on the page. It's in the lower right of the page. And there was this joke, and I said, I can make that about Mr. Bott. So not only did I take a joke and switch it and roast one of the adults at the Cub Scout meeting, but it's a dick joke. Not really, but kinda. And I said, hey, you know, I think I should tell you guys that Mr. Bott told me that he had a dream last night. He dreamt that he jumped out of an airplane with a parachute and pulled the ripcord. And in the morning when he got out of bed, his pajamas fell down. And he got a big laugh.
Of course.
And I don't know if I did it again for years, but looking back, I'm like, wow, that's the first, because I was on stage. I don't know whether there's a stage, but there was a podium. And I was so little that they actually had to get me like a box of a beer, or a box of, you know, just some kind of cardboard box to stand on so I would reach the microphone. And to this day, if I go to stand behind a podium, I'm like, hey, this is cool. I don't have to stand on anything. You know, things get ingrained in your head. I'm standing up on a box, breaking the Scoutmaster's balls, which is pretty fun. And it also gives me You can imagine how many times I've been asked that question. It's just so fun to have a great answer,
Right, yeah. That is a fantastic answer. Who were some of your mentors coming up as a stand-up? Who were some of the people that
None. I had
have any?
never had any intention ever of being a stand-up comic because I never thought it was something you could choose. I played the guitar because I wanted to learn some songs and try and get laid like everybody else and maybe be a little bit more popular. But the concept of being in show business, in my mind, is something, you were chosen by God or whoever, they would pluck you out and anoint you. I never dawned on me that it was like a learned thing or something you could aspire to. As late as I remember when I was in college and I met the drummer in my band, who was going to be the drummer in my band. Everybody's like, hey, what's your major? And I said, what's your major? And he was this ugly little fat guy. And he said, radio and television. And you could have knocked me over with a feather. I'm like, you can't choose that. You don't just get to choose that, but of course you do. But that's how stupid I was, how naive I was. But I always knew jokes. I learned from the first joke I ever heard when I was in 3rd grade for my whole life. I remember every joke, dirty, clean, whatever. There's nothing else. I don't know anything else. I went to college as a mechanical engineer and graduated from Michigan State in 1971, but I didn't do anything with it. I was a pot smoker in the late 60s, tune in, drop out, ponytail. In my first year as a comic, I had a ponytail. It was like a crazy, crazy thing. Like, I loved watching Rodney Dangerfield and I loved Henny Youngman because they were jokes, like everybody else. Of course, I had a buddy who said in 7th grade, said, oh, you got to listen to Bob Newhart, or you got to listen to Shelley Berman. And we go to his house and listen to the record one time through, and we'd laugh, but it wasn't like, hey, I want to be that guy, because I didn't think you could be that guy. I didn't know George Carlin worked on it and got to, he was a weatherman, and then he was this, and was that. Who knew? So I became a comic out of default. I knew every joke in the world, and my band broke up in 1978, and all I knew for sure was that I wasn't going to get a job doing anything unless it involved, some kind of, I wouldn't even dare call it show business, anything but regular work. You know what I mean?
Is there anyone that you like today? Are there any comedians that you see coming up?
Because I don't watch,
Right.
I don't watch. And it's got nothing to do with anything except, it's a bus driver's holiday. People
Sure.
say, who do you like the best out of the new guys? I actually say Chris Rock.
Sure.
Which is so long ago. But, we started watching this TV show called Barry with the guy, I guess he's from Saturday Night Live. I'd never watched Saturday Night Live, so I
Really
don't know
good show.
him.
Really good show.
Like, oh, the show's great. And the guy's so talented. And they're all so talented. I know them, and I know everybody, from the years, Ray Romano and Kevin James and all those guys, they were a whole wave after me. And I love all the guys, but that was never really my forte because I'm not a comedian. I'm a joke teller. If you want to be a comedian, there's 2 things you don't do. You don't tell old jokes and you don't laugh at yourself. And those are the only 2 things I do. But it works. People like it. I've always made a really, really good living and got popular. I ran into Howard Stern and people say, well, you were just lucky. And I say, no, he was just lucky, But
Do you have a favorite joke?
No.
You don't have a favorite joke?
No. The last joke that got a big laugh is, like when I ran into Paul McCartney at a screening, he walked past me, and I always knew that I would always, you leave people alone. But he walked right in front of me, and I stopped him, and I told him what must have been my favorite joke at the time was a guy goes for a job interview, and the interviewer says, what do you think is your biggest fault? And the guy says, I think my biggest fault is my honesty. And the interviewer says, I don't think honesty is a fault. And the guy says, I don't give a fuck what you think.
It's great.
McCartney roared, it's a great joke, But, I do this, to do a short plug, I do cameo.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's cameo.com/Jackie Martling, and people go on there and send happy birthday or happy divorce or whatever, and they say, Jackie, tell a joke, tell a Jew joke, tell a fart joke. This is for my mother. She loves disgusting jokes. This is for my grandmother. Please keep it clean. And it's great. And I do 2 or 3 minutes of jokes, and it's like candy. You know, things that maybe are my favorite jokes after about the 100th time of telling them get to be a little bit less favorite, you know. I'll tell you why I tell a real lot, because at least it's in this century is a girl goes to the high school prom, and the next day she's at the beach, and she sends her mother a text. Mom, the prom was great, but now I'm at the beach, Mom, and I'm freaking out. I got cum in my hair. Her mother sends her back a text. Honey, I'm glad the prom was good. Listen, sometimes when you're blowing a guy and he'll pull his cock out of your mouth because he wants to shoot on your face and he can't control where it's going. And sometimes some of it just goes in your hair. But it's not a big deal. Just jump in the water. It'll wash right out. And the girl sends her mother back a text. Mom, thanks for the information, but I meant to type gum.
Of course. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Which is so dirty and so funny, but it involves texting. So it brings me into this millennium. You know what I mean?
I love that. I'm going to get to some commercials right now because we do have people who pay for this. So we're going to be
the commercials.
We're going to be right back with Jackie Martling.
Tell me what you're selling.
I'll tell you when we come back. This is Welcome Back to America. Come right back after this.
Writing a book is the adventure of a lifetime. Red Penguin Books take pride in giving our authors a publishing experience that is stress-free and celebratory all the way. Some of our authors first approach us with no more than an idea for a book that's ready to sprout. Others submit completed manuscripts. Whether you're at either end or anywhere in between, our goal is to get you published. At Red Penguin Books, we offer options and opportunities that are unique in the world of publishing, and all of them are designed to keep you, the author we so deeply respect, in the driver's seat, unlike other publishing houses. So, if you want to write a book and are looking for a publisher, we've got you covered. Red Penguin Books deal in publishing services, book development, and ghostwriting for digital, print, and audiobook. Call us at 516-448-4993 or visit our website, www.redpenguinbooks.com.
Hey everybody, thank you for coming back to Welcome Back to America. This is D.B.Frick. I am still with Jackie the Joke Man Martling, who was nice enough to spend some time with me today. I wanted to ask you, Jackie, when was the first time you met Howard? Where was it? How did it happen?
It's very simple. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, anybody that's a fan, any question you can think of is in my book. My book is called The Joke Man, Bow to Stern, and it's available on audio, Kindle. People love the audio version because they drive along in the car and it's like having me on the radio. But that's a very common question. What happened was when I bailed out of the music business, I always steal Rodney's joke. Yeah, I quit music. And to tell you how bad I was doing, I was the only one who knew I quit. Okay. So I started telling jokes on stage. And after a while, I said to my girlfriend, they laugh every time I open my mouth. I should make a record. She said, so make a record. So I borrowed money from everybody I knew and made a record. And then I made another record. And then I made another record. I mean, there's a lot more to this in the book. You know, I had met Rodney and sold him some jokes, the whole thing. But by 1982, I had 3 comedy LPs. And I sent them everywhere. And I was working at a place called Garvin's in Washington, D.C. And the owners there loved me. And Harry Montecrusos was one of the owners. They said, hey, Jackie, there's a guy that just got fired down here from the radio. And he just got hired at WNBC in New York. You really should look him up because he would love you. So blind, I sent my 3 comedy albums to Howard Stern, care of WNBC, Rockefeller Plaza. I didn't know who the guy was. I could have cared less. I sent so much stuff to everybody and mostly didn't get any responses. A couple months later, my girlfriend Nancy calls me up and says, hey, that guy Howard Stern just called. He wants you to call him. I called him up and said, hey, we listened to your records. You know every joke in the world. Why don't you come in and hang out on the air today? At the time, I'm running Governor's Comedy Shop in Levittown, and all of a sudden I drive in, you know, I'm in WNBC, and there's Imos's picture, and Letterman, and Carson, and like, whoa. And I walked in and sat down, and it was Howard, and Robin and Fred and me. And the last day I worked there in March of 2001, it was Howard and Robin and Fred and me, which I was always very proud of, that it was the same 4 people 18 years later. Of course, I was the one that fucked it up. But I sat there and laughed for 3 or 4 hours. And at the end of the day, Howard said, man, you're a lot of fun. Why don't you come back next week? So I came back once a week for 3 years for free. And then he called me up and said, we're going to mornings. Give me a price. And I went to mornings with them for a couple days a week. And within a month or 2, I was on 5 days a week, because to tell the truth, he was a lot funnier when I was there, because I was passing him notes. And not to be boring, but the rest is history. We went to Pluto. We went straight to Pluto. And it was an incredible ride. That's all.
Now, you said that you fucked it up. You said that.
Well, I don't mean I left the show. I asked for more money and they didn't want to give it to me, and I didn't cave. In other words, I was the first to leave. I was the first one out of the circle.
Do you ever watch the show? Have you ever done that?
I never listened to it and never watched. I never, not even. People ask this too, and I only listened to the show in the real beginning when I had first started going in one day a week, and I gave them a couple ideas for the Black Helicopter Reporter and for some other stuff, and then I started bringing in jokes for Stump the Comedians. But I was actually listening one day, and I love telling the story because I was in the kitchen of the house we were renting, standing on the little step stool, and I was fixing something. And the reason it's so memorable is because I don't fix anything. So the odds that I was on a stool fixing something, and he was talking, and Gary said, hey, Howard, does the girl here wants to come in and take all the clothes off? And Howard said, oh, well, have her come in. And the girl came in, and Howard said, who are you? And I swear to you, I don't know if this tape exists anywhere. I'm sure it does, but I've never been able to find it. Somehow it doesn't exist. But he said, who are you? She says, my name's Maria, and I work at the door at the Comedy Factory outlet in Philadelphia, and my favorite comedian is Jackie Martling. And I could have fallen off the step stool. I mean, I was killing in Philadelphia for years before I met Howard. 1979, 80, 81, 82, right. There was Bananas and the Comedy Factory outlet and the Comedy Works and the Comedy Cabaret. And all the guys from Long Island, we drove down there all the time and had so much fun. Oh, it was there was a place where you literally, the Comedy Works was a long room. And if you had to take a leak, you had to go down a flight and walk through the room and walk in front of a belly dancer. It's just not believable. The only people who believe those stories are people that actually work those rooms, Unbelievable. And then, that wound up that scene is in the movie, and in the movie it's Jenna Jameson, and I'm sitting next to her folding her clothes as she's getting undressed, which is really fun. And the truth of it is, the girl that came in was wearing like a fur coat, and she just, I guess, took off a fur coat. She was nude, and people listening, Howard was, still somewhat new to New York, so people didn't know for sure that, everything that ever happened on that show really happened. But people didn't know that yet. If he says, hey, look, there's a naked girl in here, as Cousin Brucey would say, who's scared of the mind, But it was real.
That is an amazing story. Where there's a few pictures
if anybody is an old enough Stern fan to go way back, there was a writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer that hated the Stern Show and wrote scathing articles about us and was so crappy. And he married Maria, the girl who got undressed. You couldn't make that up. You could not. Stu Bykowski. And of course, incredible. I had met him a million times from working, in Philadelphia. It's a small world. I was just talking to a guy who did a podcast in Detroit yesterday. A really, really funny guy, Jeff Dworkin.
Yeah, I know him.
So we're talking, and I said, you realize that the night I met you, I went out to do a big charity event for Aaron Cummings, a thing called Mittens for Detroit. And Kevin Metheny was there. The actual pig virus. Well, the band was Pig Vomit. His name was Pig Virus, but I think they referred to him as Pig Vomit in the movie. I never figured that out. But the real guy was there. And Jeff was like, oh, man, I can't believe you didn't introduce me to him. I said, well, how would I know that anybody was a Stern fan long enough ago to have any idea who he was, you know? But he died not too long ago. But that was Paul Giamatti's first,
Yes,
kick-ass role,
He played it very memorably too. Very memorable.
It was so great. It was so
You
great.
sent me
Great times. Great times.
You sent me a bunch of pictures, a lot of great pictures of you with some amazing celebrities. I want to talk about a few of those pictures. But the first one, since we're on Howard, the only picture of you and Howard that you sent was a picture from must have been the early 80s, and you're doing a telethon, and he's pinching.
They asked them to appear on the Easter Seals telethon, and I had just started on the show, and he said, hey, why don't you come in and answer phones on the telethon? So I said, sure. And then he came over, and somebody took a picture of us standing there. That's that's when he was built like a pear, and he still had his Jufro and his mustache. We were very close. We had a lot of fun.
I'm sure. You can tell that. There's no way anyone would gain anything other than that from watching the show. There's another picture of you and Willie Nelson, which is just awesome. I'd like to know.
Willie Nelson is a dear friend. We actually. I beat him in a rolling contest on the Stern Show. And the next time, one of the times he came in, we actually played. He played On the Road Again, and I played lead guitar. Fred played bass. We had a band called The Losers, but that's a long story, but it was great fun. And Willie and I went out and hosted a show for Marijuana Policy Project and Normal. And Willie was headlining the show, and he would only do it if it was for both of the organizations. And it was in Austin, and the opening act was his daughter and Arlo Guthrie's daughter, Kathy Guthrie. They have a band called Folk Uke, and here I'm hoping that Willie's audience will be able to handle what I do.
Right.
And the opening song by Amy Nelson and Kathy Guthrie, with Willie singing along with them, was "Dumb Motherfucker Got Fucked Up and Lost the Fucking Whatever." The title of the song had "fucking" it 5 times.
Motherfucker, you were fine.
And me and Willie have been exchanging jokes for 25 years. We send jokes back and forth, and he loves it and I love it. I've got stoned with him 3 or 4 times. He's in my documentary. He's in my documentary. Went down, and I got some 10 minutes of me talking to him. That his daughter Amy filmed, but then we asked him if we could film him for the documentary with a good camera, and me and Ian Carr went down to New Orleans, and we got on the bus, and he taped me and Willie talking for 10 minutes, and then we get done with the interview, and Willie passes the pipe, and we each take a toke, and we couldn't see. And he got up and did a 75-minute set. And he has
his own brand.
He's the greatest character. Yeah, Willie Reserve. He's the greatest character, and he is who he is.
Yeah, no, I get
that. Is what you get. Just a sweet, sweet, wonderful guy,
I had an experience with him. I was interning at Conan, and he came on the show with Johnny Cash. And I was in the green room with them. And because I was an intern, he rolled a joint and lit it and passed it my way. But because I was an intern, I was like, I can't take this. I'm going to get fired. And he offered Johnny some of it. And Johnny was like, I don't do that anymore, Willie. It was a great moment.
Yeah, but Ian Carr, the guy who did the documentary, was my partner on the Jackie's Joke Hunt for 8 years. And he's a nice Jewish boy. And he'll drink a little bit, but he's not really a pothead, but he said, listen, when fucking Willie Nelson hands you the pipe, you take a toke,
Right, I really should have. Have you felt that you've been censored at all in the last few years since comedy has been taking this big turn?
Well, maybe I have been, but I didn't notice it. I don't work that much. The people who come to see me, they know what I do. I do a call-in to this David Feldman podcast, the David Feldman Show, who does a very liberal, long, great podcast. It's fairly serious and gets some comics. And at the end, he calls me up, and I do 10 or 15 minutes of the dirtiest, filthiest, wildest jokes in the world. And people love it. They need that. I never... people know that I'm crazy, but I was never a guy that used the N-word or the K-word for a Jew. The worst I got was in the very beginning, I used to say Polak, and somebody explained to me, no, that's just as offensive. So I tell jokes that are incredibly offensive, but there is a rhyme and a reason to it. You know, like, you know, the Polish guy's laughing at the Jewish jokes and the Jewish guy's laughing at the black jokes. And I'm like, hey, guys, you know, we're all in this together. Let's fuck with the midget.
We got to get you into the Radio Hall of Fame.
Oh, please. I don't belong in the Radio Hall of Fame. Listen, I want to tell people, email me, jokeland, especially this is a lot of Long Island people, jokeland@AOL.com. I will answer any question. If you're from Long Island, it's a crime if you don't have my book, because it's the whole thing, And go to cameo.com/Jackie Martling and get people, they go nuts. You know, hey, you know, Charlie, your son Eddie says you got a little cock. Happy birthday. You know, and if they're a fan of mine, they get off on it. You know.
Are you living on Long Island right now? You're on Long Island?
I've been in Bayville for 50 years, 40 years. I'm having survivor's remorse because my beautiful girlfriend, Barbara, and I live on Long Island Sound in a beautiful old house. And I'm broadcasting from my garage, which is now my pine-laden office. And I do podcasts and I do cameo.com. And, you know, I was driving to gigs until the gigs stopped.
Yeah, when was your last gig? Where and when was it?
I think the last gig I did was I did a weekend at Uncle Vinny's Comedy Club in South Jersey. And just before that, I did the Algonquin in Jersey. And before that, I did the theater in Boca Raton, whatever that's called, the Meisner Auditorium in Boca. And I don't do a lot of gigs. I'll do 2 a month, 3 a month. You know, some weeks I have 3 gigs. Sometimes I go 2 weeks. But, you know, I don't go seeking them out. You know, I do a lot of parties, you know, firemen and people like that have a nice budget and they want me. And I get up there and I'm pretty dirty and I peddle my stuff, but as much because I like to talk to the people. People buy a book and they have a head-on with you, and I have always enjoyed that. Always, and you know, I was selling albums after my gigs in 1979, and people used to make fun of me. Now you can't go to a show without somebody selling their crap afterwards. You know, it was just something I did. You know, it was I knew it was a way to make some extra money. It was a way to promote yourself. It was a win-win. And people, I'd be like, how do you know, when I first was on the Stern Show, I'd work there once a week. And he'd say, why don't you bring in some other guys? And I'd say to somebody, hey, you want to come on the Howard Stern Show with me? And these guys would say, what's it pay? I said, what's it pay? It's 50,000 watts of radio in the tri-state area. You can't buy that kind of exposure. To this day, there's still guys that come up to me and say, I can't believe I fucking said no when you asked me to go on the Stern Show. And I said, you know what? Even if he had never wound up going anywhere, it would have been a stupid thing to say no to it, you know.
Even when people do get paid to be a guest, it's never a huge, like even on late night and all those shows.
Oh yeah, no, it's an honorarium. You know,
right. I just want to close things up now and wrap things up, and I really appreciate you coming down here today and being on Welcome Back to America. It's a really big deal. I want to ask you one more question though as we leave.
8 inches. The answer is 8 inches.
8 inches. Okay. That's a good ending. Where do you see comedy going as it changes? Is there anything that you?
I don't care where it's going. I just want to see it starting. That's all. I'm at a premium now. People love me. They can't get enough of my jokes because my jokes don't go anywhere. They're poop and sex and farts and fun and stupidity between men and women. There's nothing funny about the world except for the human situation, the human experience, and that's all I do. You know, farts and burps and marriage and divorce, that stuff will never stop being funny, and I will never go out of, you know, not me. These jokes have been around forever. Like Red Fox used to say, don't look at me, ladies. Somebody got to tell them. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I know guys are getting up and doing what they can. you know, after 9/11, I had a gig like 3 weeks later in Las Vegas, and I had a sold-out show. And I got up and did an hour and a half and blew the room away. And then when I was done, I said, listen, I don't want you to think I didn't happen to notice what was going on in New York City 3 weeks ago. But if I came up and mentioned it, that would have let the air out of the whole room. So I figured, you know what, we really need to laugh for a while.
Right.
And then we'll say, how much did that suck? And you can come up and say hello and we'll cry together. And I got a standing ovation, people, because it was the right call. You know, it wasn't insensitivity, you know. You don't start a show with like, it really sucks that all those people died at the World Trade Center, but let's try and laugh. That's not common, you know.
No, it's not going to work. I really appreciate you coming down today, Jackie. This was a great interview. I learned a lot.
My pleasure. Hey, one more thing.
Yes, please.
All you Long Islanders, 516-922-WINE is in its 41st year of operation. Just like it. I started in 1979 to promote the show. Me and Richie Minervini were doing at Cinnamon, which grew into East Side Comedy Club, which grew into Long Island Comedy. And if you dial 516-922-WINE right now, you'll hear me telling jokes and plugging something. You know, the way it really got kicked in the ass was in 1982. Rick Dees used to put it on his morning show in LA and on his nationally syndicated show. And he told his entire audience that 516-922-9463 was Tom Selleck's home phone number.
That's hilarious.
And Rick Dees is the guy who named me the joke man.
Yeah, no. Oh, did he really? Oh, my God. Yeah.
Buy the book. Buy the book. I didn't send you a book.
Yes, you did.
Well,
You sent me a bunch of stuff back in 1998. I met you back in 1998.
No, I didn't have my autobiography. Send me your address so I can send you my autobiography. If you like this stuff at all, you'll go nuts.
Definitely.
Nuts.
I appreciate that, Jackie. That's a really big deal. We're going to come right back after this. Thanks for checking out. Welcome back to America Tonight. Love you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, David.
Be well.
Waiting for the Amtrak in the city of brotherly love. Well, my shows were good as they're ever gonna get, but I just can't get enough. You know, the more they laugh and clap, it seems, the less that I can hear. Another day, another joke. What happened to last year? Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. Well, the road, she always called me the artistic romantic life. Not the home and the family, a few kids, maybe a wife. Well, now normal's just a dream to me, and talent, it's a curse. The stage, she's the best, but she's the worst. Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. I'm gonna pull into McDonald's, find a place online, order a billion burgers, sit and watch them change the sign. New York to Denver, hey, Detroit was in between. Happy maybe half the time and really, really clean. Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. Well, now I'm tight with Rodney. Yeah. Now I'm cutting loose. Now I'm catching on after all those years and all that juice. Well, I ain't saying for sure I'm gonna make it, but now I've got a chance. Lady Luck was eluding me, but now I'm in her pants. Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. Me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, me oh, my. I'm gonna pull into a Burger King, the highlight of my day. I might ordered myself a Whopper, but I'm gonna have it my own way. New York to LA, hey, Detroit was in between. Happy maybe half the time, really, really clean. maybe half the time living in a dream. Happy maybe half the time